So this is a post-packing video. So we did the Annapurna circuit very recently. We did the high pass on the 26th of March. So it's now about the 10th of April. I just wanted to run through what I would pack again and what I would leave out. Because there's loads of stuff I would leave out. Well, there's not so much stuff actually. We didn't do too badly. One of the main irritations I had was paperwork. So COVID tests, got your immigration things, you've got your flight bookings, you've got just rubbish, and then duplicates for everything. It actually weighs quite a lot. It was nice to be able to leave the copies at the hotel so we didn't have to carry it around with us, but still, paper actually is heavy. So I wouldn't do that. Similarly, I would get rid of the book, because I did read some of the book, but it's a book, it's actually quite heavy. Tea houses have books, so put the book on the bookshelf and yeah, go to the tea house. Library, pick something random. Other things that's really debatable is a power bank. So this is an Anker power bank. It's a very good one. I was very happy to have it with me, but it weighs an absolute ton. So I'd get a smaller power bank. There is power in the tea houses usually. A couple of things to consider is in a tea house you might find that the plug socket is about there on a wall, which is quite high. So you need a very long charging cable if you're going to use the socket. So I did use the power bank on those days. And then that one will charge my phone probably for 4 or 5 days. And with the GoPro batteries, yeah, I was covered, but it's still a heavy thing. That's half a kilo, which, you know, in my packing is a noticeable weight. So an essential thing, but maybe take a smaller one. Obviously charging cable for that. Had the batteries for the GoPro that, yeah, worth having. GoPro mount, which I didn't really use, worth having. Go through the little bits and pieces. Padlock, that stayed at the hotel, because it just zipped up the air porter, so the air porter I would take again. So jumping around a bit, that's the air porter. So that's a bag for my big rucksack. That was a very good idea. That keeps all the straps and stuff inside when it's going through the conveyor belts to the airport, so you don't lose your bag basically. So that was a nice thing to have. Padlock goes with that. But yeah, boring. So go through the smaller bits and pieces. Obviously nail clippers. Why wouldn't you take those? Toothbrush, toothpaste we had in here. These are some washers which go with hydration kit, and again there's spares for the hydration kit. I'll take all of that. Medical stuff, definitely take all of that. There's no reason not to have it. I had a lot more water tablets. I didn't take enough, so we had probably 100 tablets or so. I mean, I'd double that. And if you are trying to buy tablets on the trail, they have an expiry date. In places like Charme, the chlorine tablets will be expired. So they're probably still effective, in fairness. But yeah, if you want to be sure, take your own. Other bits in here, Leatherman Mini, very useful. And yeah, just carabiners, very useful. There is a razor blade in there for, obviously, if you want to burst a blister quickly. Lighter, just in case, because why not? Yeah, there's just other bits I would say. Tethers were useful, so for example, these are for the GoPro I'm using now, so I could tether the GoPro to myself and walk over a bridge, for example, without worrying about dropping the tether, dropping the camera. Useful things to have. Obviously headphones, you want earplugs, you want your spare shoelaces, clothes pegs. Very useful thing to have. The tea houses do have clotheslines and clothes pegs, but obviously if there's other people at the tea houses, you won't get any clothes pegs. So it just makes life less stressful to have your own. And that's really the basics of that boring kit bag there. Things that are missing out of here, that's hand sanitizer, so that's a full hand sanitizer. I don't have the shower gel I took because I used it and threw it in the bin. The little travel bottles are fine. I used 3 of those because you stop showering basically the higher up you go, because it's cold and yeah, it's just not worth the effort. We did have 3 rolls of toilet paper. That's what's left. Although I did steal another one out of the hotel. You might want to think about just getting, I mean, that's Andrax, that's lovely toilet paper. You could get crap toilet paper because it's lighter. That's insect repellent. Don't really need it. I wouldn't take it again. So that could go somewhere else. And then, yeah, the other stuff's very common sense. It's worth taking a map. It's worth taking a sun hat. It's essential to take a sun hat. It's worth taking flip-flops or some other footwear, because at the end of the day you want to take the hiking boots off because it's not that they're uncomfortable, but you've been wearing them all day. You need to take a hat. Take something for your neck. So it's just a woolly neck gaiter. That's absolutely fine. There are waterproof trousers in there. These are very lightweight Gore-Tex ones. They're windproof as well as waterproof, so yeah, they're part of your insulation as well. You can wear them, you know, over your trousers with a base layer as well, and it just adds a little bit more comfort. And it does get windy, so particularly if you're doing Ice Lake and the pass, it was noticeably windy. So having something windproof is good. That's an ankle brace. Definitely take that. It's a knee brace. Definitely take that. Didn't need them, but useful. These are soft shell gloves, so I wore them a couple of times. I don't know that they're essential. I would probably leave them out if I was keen on weight, because you're going to take some proper winter gloves with you anyway. So if it is cold, put these on. Comfort-wise, these are just too hot on anything but a freezing day, but weight-wise, I think I'd survive with those rather than both pairs. So to save weight, I'd do that. That's a travel towel. That's the biggest travel towel I could get, and I'd definitely keep that because it's just a comfort thing. Sunglasses, take sunglasses. Trekking poles, they got trashed, but they came back with me anyway. Do the money belt, and so it's a little passport thing. So I had my passport around my neck and my money in the money belt and a wallet, so you could split things around you. Thing to say about money, so that's about 5,000 rupees. We had a lot more than that, and you can kind of imagine the bulk of carrying this money. You need to think about where you're going to put your money. It's it's not as easy as you think to carry comfortably a large wad of money in a money belt. So it needs to go in your bag, but it needs to obviously be kept safe. You don't want someone walking off with it. I don't think it's really the Nepalese you need to worry about. It's other tourists. That's probably more of a problem. Obviously, what else have we got? Adapters. You need to take adapters. Earplugs. You need to take earplugs. So, guy I shared a room with snored like hell. But the walls in these places aren't very thick, so tea houses are very, very flimsy construction. So yeah, think about how you're going to sleep. Head torch. You need the head torch. Take the head torch. So particularly for excursions like Ice Lake or doing the pass, you're going to be up early and it's going to be dark. You need, well, Ice Lake you might not be up early, but you might be coming back late. So you just want something to help you see the trail. It's just common sense. Run through the rest of the clothing. So fleecy jacket, yeah, definitely take that. I also took the hard shell jacket. I did use this because particularly at the Ice Lake, the temperature wasn't such a problem. It was the wind that was the issue. And when you're carrying the pack, that's like wearing a jacket in itself. It covers your entire back and wraps around you, so you're covered, so you don't necessarily need a load of insulation. I think I was paying weight though. I would leave this out. I think, at the time of the year we went, it wasn't likely to be heavy rain all the time. It did rain though, but I think I could have got by without it, so I would leave the hard shell out. But that's a preference thing. If you want belt and braces, definitely take it. Base layer, definitely take a base layer. Very useful thing to have. Fleece, this is Berghaus Polartec fleece, so that's a big chunky fleece. I would probably take the lightweight version of that. So I think that's Spectrum fleeces or something like that. Because because if you've got the down jacket, you can wear that instead of the fleece. Combination too. I was just worried about being too cold, so I went overkill. But I wore that in a few days, and I didn't wear the fleece jacket, so I could have just used the fleece jacket. It's a much more sensible thing, and it saves a load of weight. Trousers and tops, I would only take 2 tops, so I took those 2. Trousers, I'll take 2 trousers, and I did take 2 trousers. My kit's the same, so it's an odd thing to say take the same 2 pairs of trousers, but it means you put the same stuff in the pockets, so it's always in the same place, so it's just comfortable. Obviously that's a bit weird, but there you go. Underwear, I took too much underwear, which I think is 4 pairs. You could probably make do with 2 or 3, so I'd go with that. Socks, so these are darn tough socks, so I took 3 or 4 pairs. I'd take 2 pairs if I was packing again. The thing to bear in mind with socks is they don't dry very quickly, or at least these ones don't dry very quickly, so these would take 2 days to dry, whereas the tops and the trousers and the underwear will dry on the same day almost. So washing the socks was a bit painful, and you ended up with wet socks, so you're going to wear the same pair of socks for 2 days in a row in order to allow 1 pair to wash. So if you want to take 3, but yeah, 2 is enough. I also took this pair of socks. This is just a loose fitting, warm pair of socks. Just nice to get out of hiking gear and let your feet relax at the end of the day. Other essential stuff back over here was obviously the aqua bladder thingy-majig and the soy squeeze. If you do run out of water, the soy is an excellent filter, so you can take lake water. It'll filter stuff out. You need to put chlorine tablets in as well, but that gets you by. The thing we were missing on this is you can get an insulated pipe. So this is the part that would sit outside my bag, and on the doing the high pass, that bit froze. So the bladder was fine, the tubes were fine in the bag, but the external pipe froze. So there is an insulating thing you can get to go over the pipe, and I'd recommend getting that to do the pass particularly. Other things I definitely recommend is having another water bottle. So I had a cig bottle, just a little cig bottle, which sits in my bag nicely. The reason for that is your chlorine tablets take, we were allowing 45 minutes for them to dissolve. So you've got, this sort of dead zone where you don't have any clean water until your chlorine tablets have taken effect and you drink out your hydration pack again. So what I was doing is emptying the last of the hydration pack into the cig bottle and then refilling the hydration pack. And I had drinking water continually without having to risk something else. That's it sounds obvious when you say it, but it's not something I actually thought about pre-trip. Other little emergency bits and pieces did use Dextro Energy, so they're just sugar tablets, just a little pick-me-up, a nice thing to have. And then the other sort of big thing is obviously the sleeping bag. So this is the Cobra 600, I think, so it's the 4-season sleeping bag down. Nice one, it is a Cobra 600. Didn't get cold in that, but it is a heavy thing. So could you take a lighter weight one? I don't know. Tea houses do have bedding, but it's not necessarily the sort of bedding you want to sleep in. So think about it. And that's really it for most of the kit stuff. I think there is an ox on the thing down there. A friend gave me that and I didn't give it back. Useful thing to have, although that didn't actually work at higher altitude at all. So quite be careful with those things, because if you'd used the readings that we took at low camp, we were technically dead, I think, or certainly we shouldn't have been conscious. So yeah, think about it. What happens to electronics at altitude is not always good. The other good thing to take there is a pen. You have to fill in your forms to do the trek. You go to the trekking office and you have to fill in these things, which takes ages. And if you haven't got your own pen, you've got to wait for one. So take a pen. The actual art of packing, So my main pack is an Atmos 8050 Osprey. Fantastic bag, definitely take it again. No problems with it whatsoever. We had a porter to do the high pass, so I didn't give him my entire pack, but I could unclip the top of this, and that just gave him a few kilos of what I had, just to make the load a bit easier to take. Other thing, dry bags, fantastic. So these just let you sort out your clean and dirty laundry, for example. It lets you put your liquids, so everything liquid in a dry bag, so if a bottle explodes, your gear doesn't get wrecked. And they work as compression sacks, so you can squash them down and get everything into the bag. And it was lovely to be able to unpack really quickly at the end of the day in the tea house, without having to fanny about looking through packs or bags or anything to find out where something was, or to get your phone charger or anything. So that worked really well. The only bit of gear that let me down was my own fault. That was my boots. So these have been used and abused for a long time, so these will probably have about 1,000 miles on them at least. And in England it's obviously been the winter and it's been wet, and these have been up to the tops in mud for a long time. And unfortunately, as soon as you get to Kathmandu, they dry out very quickly. So these what were little splits in England are major events in Kathmandu. So the insides of these are completely lined with tape to keep the water out. They didn't leak, and they are good boots. I mean, I'd buy them again. So there was some Quest 3, 4D, GTX, whatever they are. And I'd definitely take a full height boot, because I slipped over a few times. Not actually on my backside, but it is loose rock, and I could easily see an ankle going. Other thing I'd take is some super glue. So these are actually super glued together. So what had happened is, you can just about see, the way these are constructed is the sole is glued on, and when that starts to fail, these start to peel. So the whole heel on this one, which is, as you can see, completely repaired now, had come off, so I could fold that all the way back. But super glue was just stuck it back together, and went on, did the trick quite happily. But I would have replaced these before going, but there weren't any in stock in my size. So there's a newer version of those as well, and they didn't have the right size in stock. So I was a bit stuck. So I think planning ahead on your footwear, especially if you're practicing, is a very good idea. Something I didn't do. Other thing that's missing on that table, so I threw a lot of stuff away in Kathmandu because I didn't want to carry it back. Well, I say a lot of stuff. It was the remaining shower gel and the sun cream. I took, I think it was a 300ml bottle of sun cream. Didn't use it all. It's only your head and your hands that are going to be exposed most of the time. And I should have put it on more often, but I still had at least half a bottle left. So there was a weight saving that could have been made there, I think. Equally, it's something you don't want to run out of. And that's probably about it. So there's nothing else interesting on that table, really. So you should have, ideally, I think you should probably get the pack weight way under 15 kilos. So you should probably be able to do it between 10 and 12 if you're being merciless. And that may or may not include the water. So that's a 3 litre water bladder. You don't have to fill the water bladder all the way if you don't want to. So that's the after packing video, which wasn't very exciting, but there you go.